Welcome everyone to race 2 of the DaveCam PPR iRacing League Tier 1. We are at Spa-Francorchamps, a fantastic circuit that's well known for both its difficulty and the fun it produces, and the racing. So, as you can see, it's very cold actually, 18 degrees, which is very low for iRacing standards. Not much wind, clear weather, and it's very dark. And for what we had last race at Road America, it's very, very dark, and it might get darker throughout the race. And I'm here joined by, again, Brian. Say hello.
Hello, Matthias. It's fantastic to be back at a fantastic track, in my opinion, one of the absolute greatest tracks in the world at Spa. And looking forward to a phenomenal race here tonight. For those who are new to the service, they'll see that Spa is one of the most difficult tracks as well, especially when it comes to track limits. It is a very strict circuit that can penalize you heavily, not just in time loss, but also if you go off, it could cost you dearly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's been memes about how many off tracks you can get in iRacing about it, so it's definitely known for it now. And
It
yep. Go for
no, it is quite funny, and all respect to the folks that do the iRacing service. I've read and participated in some of the polls that they've done, talking about should they amend the track limits here because some people feel they're a little too harsh. Some people feel they're a little too lax. Um, and for those who kind of keep up with iRacing and have seen, like, say, the 24 hours of Spa virtual race, they can remember back to the shenanigans that occurred where there was a bit of a coding glitch, you know, uh, and it resulted in one session limited of 200 incident points and another no limit. And you had some teams getting over 1,000, 1,500, and I think one team even broke 2,000 incidents at a 24-hour race. So it can be a tricky circuit, and it still seems like the community is kind of split 50-50 on increase or keep the same or amend. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to a fantastic race.
Yeah, me too, actually. I remember hearing about the 200 incident limit, but it's not that bad once you get in the rhythm, and that's what you really want to do in a 40-minute race, or 45-minute.
Yeah, the Dolores shouldn't have too much difficulty just because of the amount of mechanical and aerodynamic grip they'll be able to take through the track. Unless they get a little greedy, then they could probably rack up some incident points. The GTEs is where I expect it to be a little bit more common. The cars slide around a little bit more, not quite as much grip, mechanical or aerodynamic. Um, and they'll probably be doing a little bit more bumping and fighting for jockeying for position. So, yeah, either way, I'm really amped up for a fantastic race here tonight.
Okay. So I should probably point out as well, we've got an interview with Alex Gull, so the winner of NP2 class last race, and I've also done a text interview with the winner of GTE class just to get the first interview started. And as the winners, I gave them priority, and they're quite over general questions, but they should be quite interested. They should be quite. Yeah, they gave quite interesting answers, or at least Reese did, and we'll find out what Alex thinks. So I'll hop to that in a moment, and then we'll be back with the final 15 minutes of practice roughly, and then followed by quali, which should be around 4 laps, and then the race. So we'll see Brian soon, and I'll try and get the interview ready with Alex.
All right then.
I'll be back soon. Uh, Okay, so Alex is currently doing a lap, which is quite the expected thing to do during free practice. So I'll go through the interview that I had with Reese. So for the first question, I asked, do you think you'll be able to carry the momentum over onto the next round, which is now round two Spa? Because obviously he was roughly 17 seconds ahead, around the same as Alex was ahead of NP2. And Reese said he's not really sure, and that he personally thinks that a lot of the drivers didn't show the true pace in the first race, which is quite expected in a whole championship, and that some of them actually got unlucky, and we've seen that. Um, a few crashes in LMP2, a few unlucky incidents in GT as well. But here, Reese claims that Spa is one of his stronger tracks, so he hopes to do well. But he does claim that it feels a bit different after the new tyres and aero update on the GTs. When asked about qualifying pace and if he is able to be at top form in qualifying, he says that it always seems to be his weak point, which obviously wasn't that evident in last race, but maybe this race someone will be able to challenge for pole. But he claims that his strength comes in the form of consistency and keeping it clean and driving it smart, which is especially important at Spa when you can get those off tracks. His lap felt pretty good for Road America, but his setup wasn't optimal. So maybe we'll be able to see something a bit more special if his setup is more suited for the track. But he also says that his weak point, another weak point for him, is setup knowledge, which is actually quite common even for myself as a caster. I'm not that good at setups. He said something funny. He said was that everyone was way faster than him on the straights. Like 5 kph is quite a bit on the straights every single lap. Um, but he was faster through the corners because of that. And I asked a quite general question. I'll ask Alex as well. Um, what does he enjoy about sim racing, iRacing, and why does he drive GT over LMP2? Because obviously he had the choice to register for LMP2. Um, Reese says he gravitated towards GT driving when he started iRacing just because that's what his friends drove, and that's probably true for most of us. And it stuck around with him. He's tried stuff like the F3 car and Radicals, but he's driven the GT cars more and actually developed a liking for them. And he also claims that being the solo class, it adds a bit more challenge with traffic management, and if you're good at it, you get rewarded. So that's the three questions I asked. I'll probably ask different ones for next race. I'll see if I can get an interview with Alex. I was hoping that I would be able to, but he seems to be still doing laps. So I guess I'll call it off just so we can get some free practice action. Um, unless I. Actually, 1 second. Okay, I had to cancel the interview because the way I contacted Alex, it just didn't seem to respond. He's doing laps right now, along with the other PPR boys, as we see Tom Connor-Dalman and Jamie Lawrence having a little bit of a toll, maybe. It might be a little bit of fire. I did see Tom wait for him, but right now, we don't have the classes system working for some reason. Obviously, technical issues happen all the time, and moreover with sim racing. But as you can see, the Dallara cars are the LMP2s, and everything else other than the Dallara P217 is GT. So right now, on the top of LMP2, we have Harry Brooks with a... Oh, actually no, Alex Gull, scratch that. Alex Gull just a fantastic lap. A low 2-minute 3:45. I was going to say Harry Brooks was first, but now he's second with a 2-minute 7:38. In GTE class, we've got Chris Barrett in his Ferrari on pole, or provisional pole, quickly followed by Dan Bull and Bu Rigor. So Chris is in the Ferrari, Dan is in the BMW, and Bu is in the Corvette. I think we've got a few new faces, obviously not on the scoreboard right now, but I think I've seen a few new people that missed the first race, which should be pretty nice. Let's see if Brian's back. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Matthias. Good to be back.
Yeah, I got one of the interviews done, but the other one, Alex was doing laps. Well, now he's available. Okay, I guess I'll do that while showing the timing tower then. Sorry again, Brian.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll quickly do that then. One second.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. A little bit of a delay, but that's fine. Okay, so you've got the questions, or should I read them out for you?
Oh, yeah, because you said they were a bit shorter now. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's the same questions, but
Yeah.
okay. So starting off with question 1, you seemed quite a bit faster than the competition in round 1. Do you think you'll be able to carry over the momentum into round 2 Spa?
Yes, I think so. It seems like the lap times I can hit the lap times. I mean, the consistency I had before, which was not much because I didn't have much practice. But since I'm on a different hardware now, I have to adapt everything, and it's quite set up badly. So it seems okay. I hope it's getting better, but it seems okay for now.
So you think you'll be a bit off the pace since the hardware may be a bit more troublesome, but
Yeah, but it seems alright now. And looking at the lap times, it seems okay. I thought it was going to be terrible, but actually it's not. But again, I've had a nice custom setup, so maybe it's coming from this.
yeah, it's possible. Okay, so now with question 2. Do you find yourself driving at top form in qualifying, or is it just you getting into the groove after doing multiple laps in practice? Like we've seen you do laps in practice today, but do you think you'll be able to just get that perfect lap when it counts?
I'm usually good at this. I'm good at flying laps and putting down some flyers. So I did it at Road America last week. I had okay performance in practice, and then somehow I was 4 tenths faster in quali. But what I didn't expect is that the other drivers were 2 to 3 tenths slower in quali, which surprised me. I didn't really understand it. But yeah, it seems like one lap is my strength per se. Maybe not today. We'll see.
Okay. So you say that you're actually alright with quali pace?
Yeah, I'm usually good at this. It's really what I'm good at is having the focus for one good lap, maybe two.
Okay. Well, I'll be watching you then. I mean, I was always watching you from the last race as well after hitting those fantastic laps, but I'll be watching you even more now. Reese did say that he wasn't a quali person, even though he hit a fantastic lap for GT as well.
Yeah.
So now question 3, a general one. I asked this one to Reese as well. What do you enjoy about sim racing, iRacing, and why do you drive LMP2 over GTE, for instance? You had the option to drive for either, especially with your iRating.
Well, first off, I'm in satellite racing, and we are driving in multiple leagues in the LMP2. And I thought, well, that's with the release of the car, it's a good season to one trick the LMP2, which I do. Especially in iRacing, I think the game feels nicer than the other games, even though it's of course personal opinion, and of course you have different cars and different games that are great. Like I think the 720 SG3 on R Factor 2 is one of the best cars I've ever driven, but the other cars maybe not so much. Why in iRacing it's really consistent. It's the game. The game always has the very nice models, and this car is great. I haven't tried the C8, so I cannot speak about it, but it seems pretty nice as well. Even though, hey, one of my favorite is the Ford. The Ford is just great also. BOP.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Okay, so thank you for your time. Obviously, may have interrupted a few laps there, but we've got 5 minutes remaining, and it's already quite dark in practice. So if you want, you can go up for a few more laps.
Yeah, I'll try a few laps. Yeah,
okay.
A bit of quali pace again.
Good luck in the
Okay.
quali and the race. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Brian. I'm back now. And we've just watched a spin by Adam Banfield. And we've also seen a crash before, between two C8s while I was having the interview. But it's very
It
dark
looked
now.
like it was like Adam and I don't know. It might have been Dan, but I
another
think
spin.
I'm mistaken. It might have been no. I think it was Adam and Bo as they were coming out of Lake Coombe there. Looks like one took to the escape area and kind of just decided to do a little grass cutting, and unfortunately collected up his fellow C8 there on corner exit coming out of the Lake Coombe chicane.
What I'm seeing now is we've had Adam Banfield spin in the LMP2, we've had those two Corvettes, and we've seen a spin from Jack Thompson as well. It seems to be like everyone's really trying to push in these cold conditions, maybe not even getting the tires up to temperature, especially with new tire model in iRacing.
Yeah, it certainly would seem that way, Mattias. Yeah, it looks like as the temperatures drop, these guys are trying to push harder and harder, both to, yeah, I would agree, to get the tires in the working range, but also just trying to see where can they really push the limits and gain that lap time. Because even that few couple of inches going in wide or coming out of a corner on entry or exit, that could be the valuable time between, thousandths, hundredths, or tenths of a second against your competitors here this race.
Yeah.
Just got to be careful because, again, Spa on the iRacing service can be pretty punishing. And sometimes you might take an inch and that might put you in a wall. Heaven forbid you become a freebie for a lot of people and they just take that position from you, which they would probably be happy to do. So, don't be that guy and don't become the freebie this race.
Yeah, definitely. Spa is very dark now. At the start of quali, we were looking at a nice sunset or something that was reminiscent of a sunset. It wasn't a perfect one. I've seen better ones, especially at Sebring, for instance. But now it's very dark. It's almost as dark as it will get, I think.
Adding a new element to the race for sure. Nighttime driving. So for drivers, they definitely have to have those braking points nailed down. Otherwise, if they try to use something like, say, a mark on the track that you just can't see at night very well, they definitely risk, late braking, taking someone out, spinning, or some combination thereof. So, hopefully, our drivers have got those points nailed in. Otherwise, the darkness is just going to add another variable that some people may not be too comfortable with.
It looks like the Shadow Realm's really coming out to kill the drivers.
Yeah, it looks like I feel confident though in the grid. I think we've got a solid grid here. I think they're going to manage to get through this just fine. Now, in hindsight, we'll see it. No race will be perfect. There will be some dust ups. There'll be some lockups, some guys going wide, and so on and so forth. So, I don't think it'll be a perfect race, but it'll definitely have its unique flair by the end of it.
Oh, speaking of the dust-ups, we've seen quite a few like mistakes already, so I am expecting a few more. Obviously, I'm not hoping for crashes. We've seen a very clean race at Road America for the most part. A few incidents, but that's quite unavoidable when you're racing hard and trying to fight for the positions.
Certainly. One of the good things here about the way this race will start as opposed to how F1 starts with a standing start is these guys should get the green flag on the GT start finish straight as opposed to having to go into La Source, compacting the grid ever so slightly. And because they'll be rolling to the start, hopefully it should help people, not try to all jockey and win the race into turn one. Although I could end up eating those words and have a massive pile up into the first corner. So hopefully it's not a commentator's jinx here now. But we shall see.
We were pretty good with the commentators' jinx last race. Nothing really seemed to go that wrong, so... Well, of course, other than a few technical issues.
Well, Thomas was pretty happy. He sent me a message after the race. He was happy that I gave him the shout out about the strategy call that he made. Almost knocking on the door of a little clairvoyance. That I said, he was probably going to draft him for a while, save some fuel, and undercut him. And he was very happy. And speaking of Thomas, for those of you who are watching, if you are interested and you're in Germany or close by, just as a reminder, check out Dahlman Caravans for all your outdoor and caravanning needs. They are the ones proudly sponsoring the series with the graphics presented by SDK Gaming. So go check them out. Again, Dahlman Caravans for all your caravanning needs.
Thank you. Very well placed. Now practice is over, so the drivers will be coming in for the last start. The drivers that are already on the lap will get to finish it, and anyone else who's crossing the line now will finish the laps. There's already quite a few drivers in the pits, and... Oh, practice is completely over. Okay. Guess I was wrong. And now it's daytime again. Magic.
Yeah, as we transition to the next day of the week here on, what's going to be race day on a Sunday. So, something for them to adjust to. A big change is going to be track temperature and how that's going to affect the tires, how they're going to warm up, how much grip they're going to have. So for some drivers, they may have to adjust their tire pressures just a little bit. Others, they might have their tires and their setups in the perfect working range to be very adaptable. So looking forward to this qualifying. Mattis, who do you think, kind of going through the LMP2 and GT field, who are you feeling is kind of, you're looking out for taking the pole today?
Well, considering Alex did say that he's a quali man, at least for the first few laps, I'm going to just say him, just to put the pressure on him and see if he can take it. Although the commentator's curse doesn't seem to be really affecting anyone yet. So yeah, him for LMP2. For GTE, I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking Chris Barrett might be a good one, since obviously we've seen Reese win the last race, but Chris was right behind her in practice, and practice now, and hopefully quali now. What about you?
Well, I certainly don't want to go against Alex. He, as his interview said, and kind of the pace that he showed last round, I mean, he's definitely got the 1 to 2 lap pace to really put it on pole. I mean, even in practice, he was about 0.3 up on P2. And, I got to agree with you, Mattias. The GTE field really looks like it's going to be ultra competitive for this round. I mean, Reese, if I remember correctly, I think he put it on pole last round, but he was kind of languishing down a little bit, down in like P4, P5 during practice. We don't really know what fuel load he's carrying, so he could have been carrying a slightly heavier load, focusing on long run pace. But yeah, Chris looked absolutely phenomenal out front in the GTE field. So yeah, I don't know. It's really a toss up. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go back to Reese. I don't want to go to that well too often, but Reese looked really good at Road America, and I think he'll have a good race. And I think if he doesn't get P1, I think he can get maybe P2. But I'll put it on Reese to get pole in GT.
Okay, So the bets are set in stone. Obviously, we're not betting for anything. But regardless of who wins the race, we wish luck to everyone as they're doing the quali laps right now. We're on board with Alex just to put the pressure on him, as I said. And then we'll hop back into GT, and then LP2, and then GT, hopefully. So
Yeah,
now,
if we can. Oh no, looks like a mistake there at turn 1 at La Source. But hey, Matthias, if we can, do you think we can go on board with him? Just kind of see what his driver's eye view is looking like.
okay, I'll hop on the
Fantastic.
gyro just to keep it there.
Oh yeah, as he's coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion, easy flat, coming up here through the Kemmel Straight, looks absolutely fantastic. Going up towards the highest point of the track here as he comes up to the Lecum chicane, really throws it in there that corner, trying to gain some of that time back he lost at La Source. Oh yeah, I think he's really got nailed on. He's going to rue that first corner mistake, but I think he's going to have a pretty good lap overall. He's definitely going to go back out for another run for sure.
Well, he did say 2 laps was his rough focus point, or focus length, if that's what I can call it. So I guess the second lap should be good enough, especially with the tyres just about reaching the right temperature and not having the drop-off point yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's also going to depend how much fuel he's put in the car. I mean, if he's only put enough fuel in for, say, 2 runs, that's going to have some effect on him. So he may get one shot for this one and then, go for a second try again. He's definitely got some time to gain. I mean, he definitely left a good chunk, probably about half a second plus on the track at La Source.
So that's a 2-minute 1.7, and that's the first lap. Oh, he spins out of La Source. Okay, that was quite unlucky, and that's his lap over.
I guess the commentator's curse is starting a little early this race.
It's all about the pressure. Okay, so we'll hop on with a GT now. Boo Rigger just hits a 2-minute 12.2, which sounds like quite a good lap, so we'll hop on board if they're doing another one. A wonderful black and orange livery. So we're seeing GTE laps coming in now, but it doesn't seem like any LMP2 laps have been set, other than Alex's. Wonder why that is.
I think they're just a little bit farther behind. They may be waiting, maybe just kind of let some of the traffic get out ahead and try to find a good gap there on the track before they really try to go for it.
Well, Alex is... Oh wow, Daniel Thomas takes provisional pole with a 2-minute 0.5. Harry Brooks was on provisional pole until he just got beaten with a 2-minute 0.8. So that's Alex, nearly 1.2 seconds off Daniel right now, so I really hope that was a bad lap for Alex. Of course, there was a mistake on T1 and then on the second lap as well.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Alex was having a real scruffy lap. I mean, he had, kind of that understeer going into and coming out of La Source. He had some difficulties down there at the kind of no name as well as, or it's now being referred to as the X corner. He struggled as well in sector 3, kind of going through there. So he's definitely got time to gain. His practice pace showed that he can certainly get within the low 2-minute flats area. So I don't know if he's going to gain a second and a half per se, but he's definitely got probably about a second's worth of lap time left on the table for him to pick back up.
Reese is on pole in GTE now. He set a lap, I think, half a minute ago, but he's now in the pits. And P2 is Carol and Martin, someone who missed the first race, and then Chris Barrett, my favourite, in the Ferrari. It does seem quite close, a bit closer than it was at Road America, I believe. So that's quite fun to watch.
Yeah, it's looking like the Ferrari seems to be a little bit better suited here to Spa for Chris. So, I think he's going to be looking for a good showing. And if he can hold on to that provisional P3, Martin's not too far ahead of him. I mean, we're only talking, 0.055 just ahead of him. So, I mean, he could probably find that time on the track, but it wouldn't be too bad to stay that close to him throughout the rest of the race, or at least through qualifying and into the race.
what is quite impressive is Jamie Lawrence, one of the co-organizers of this whole league and one of the owners, I'll call, of PPR, has set a 2 minutes .694, only 1.5 tenths off Daniel Thomas, our provisional pulsar. And now we've seen a few more LMP2 laps come in as well. Quite close to Jamie and Harry, but nothing yet to challenge Daniel.
Yeah, I think Jamie's got to be pretty pleased with that first lap. You know, certainly on the pace a lot earlier than out at Road America. And I know, you know, he joked about it after the race that he unfortunately damaged his engine on pit entry. So, you know, Spa's not going to make it any easier on him getting into the pit. But I don't think he'll have that problem, you know, with those undulations getting into the pit this time.
I think Spa's a bit more flat, and it doesn't seem to have those bumps, so it should be alright.
No, it certainly doesn't. But if anything, the iRacing not top 10 has shown us that if you get the pit entry wrong here at Spa, you can end up just being a cork in the bottle. And you know, if for any of you out there who have seen Austin Powers, when he's trying to maneuver that little buggy cart at the moon unit base, you know, you can wedge yourself in pretty easily, and you're not going to go anywhere pretty much ever. And Spa is not very friendly either to if you have to tow. It's a long tow around here. Oh, and Alex straight to the top with a 2 minute .118. Starting to assert his dominance on the qualifying already.
No, we've got 7 more minutes, so let's just wait and see. The real challenge should come in the last few minutes, the last few laps. I know it's 4 laps per person, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good effort on Alex. So it looks like he was able to pick up almost about 1.4 seconds from his previous lap. So yeah, just to goes to show you know how scruffy that first one was. But definitely he has the pace to put it up there. I'm more curious to see if is he going to be able to maintain that into the race. That's going to be the real challenge for him.
It doesn't seem like Alex is going out for another lap. Maybe he'll try and do one more, but he's back in the pits, so I think he's quite happy with that right now.
I know I certainly would be. 2 minute flat essentially here at Spa in the LMP2 class with the way track conditions are. I'd be pretty satisfied with that. I mean, every driver's going to want more, but you know, that's a pretty satisfying lap.
Yeah, I'd be really happy with it myself. Although I'm expecting a 59 maybe if someone does decide to go for another lap from the front runners in LMP2.
59 might be possible. I mean, you've really got to hook that lap up. Just get every single corner, every single braking point nailed absolutely right. But you know, Alex is knocking on that door. He could dip below a 2 minute here during qualifying.
I'm not riding off anyone else yet though, so maybe Alex might not get it, but someone else can. You never know.
Yeah, that's certainly true. You know, Thomas jumping up there himself, up to P2. Daniel himself getting up there to, you know, staying in P3. And, you know, Jamie, you know, he's hanging around there within the top 5. So we've still got about 4 minutes and some change left. So we'll see if anybody else can make some noise here in qualifying.
It does seem like GT class is a bit closer than it was before. There's still that 4/10 of a gap between Mies and Buur, but I think it might be a bit closer in the race, especially with the long run down to Radion and through the Camel Straight.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean they're pretty close from Reese all the way down to who is that? Eric. Only about a second gap between them, but it's pretty tight though when you look at from Bo all the way to Jack there. So I expect those guys to be fighting it out pretty hard for the podium positions, or podium places I should say, throughout the entire race.
So now we're going to watch Chris Scar finish off his lap. We've been on board with him for a whole lap. Final corner trying to get on the power early. Let's see what this will be. It should be... Was it invalidated? I believe so. Yeah. Welcome to Spa.
Yeah, unfortunately Spa again it's showing that those track limits will be pretty brutal on you.
Okay. Doesn't seem like anyone else is really doing laps anymore. Well, obviously, it's the 4-lap limit, or 15 minutes. Seems like it's just particular people now.
It looks like Richard's just kind of slowing down, taking his time. May not want to take too much life out of those tires before he begins maybe a final flying lap here. And it looks like Jamie's going to try and go for it. Maybe see if he can pick up some time here on a final flying lap as well, coming into the bus stop chicane.
Let's see if the metaphorical pressure will come in from the commentators. Of course, he doesn't know he's being streamed right now. Harry Brooks improves, jumps in ahead of Jamie when he was behind him. So Jamie definitely wants to improve now if he wants that P4 back.
You know, it's always kind of fun. You know, I've always wondered, you know, is the commentator's curse a real thing? Because, you know, the funny thing always that's gotten me is that there's always a lag or a delay in the broadcast, and then it's like the commentators know it's coming, and they want to kind of perpetuate that stereotype that there is a commentator's curse. I don't know. I'm starting to see that so far for us, it's been pretty good. Not necessarily a bad thing, so I don't know. Maybe we're just the lucky ones. What do you think, Matthias?
I really hope we're the lucky ones, because otherwise we're gonna have to keep our mouths shut if we want people to do well.
Yeah, that would be kind of ironic, you know. I remember a Formula One race a few years back at Bahrain, and Ted Kravitz was watching a replay of Max Verstappen. I think he was going into turn 1, and he just skidded right off the track, just straight on. And Ted Kravitz was like, "That looks like a brake failure." And Max comes on the radio almost 3 seconds later, says, "Ugh, brakes failed." Ted Kravitz says, "I take no credit for that." It's like, nah, I feel like you knew that was coming. But I don't know. I don't think we've had that bad luck so far. I think we feel like we're giving the drivers good luck so far. So nothing but good vibes on our end.
Okay, so that's quali over. Jamie didn't get to finish his lap, I think. So we'll just run down with LMP2. Actually, no, we're gonna have to run down with overall results because classes are broken, sadly. So, let's go. So, oh, team names aren't here either for some reason. Not sure why. So, on pole, we've got Alex Gall, 2-minute .118, followed by Tom Connor-Dalman. So, the front two that finished last race in the same positions. Then Daniel Thomas, Harry Brooks, 4 and 5 tenths off respectively. Jamie Lawrence lining up behind Harry. Was a bit of a fight in quali between them. Nearly 6 tenths off. Then, from P6, it's 1.1 seconds. That's Adam Banfield, Alex Valhalla, Wouter Nellison, up to 1.2 tenths, 1.2 seconds off. We've got David Goot with a weird name glitch there, 1.4 seconds off, and right behind him, Chris Scarr. Literally, it's 1,000th of a second off him, which is quite impressive. And then for GT, we've got Reese C. Newland. I can't actually see the lap because on overall standings, but I think it was 2-minute 11.12, somewhere around that.
Yeah, that's where I think Reese was. He was the pace setter there, so I think he was about a 2:11.1 or 2:11.2. And then everyone else, again, about 3 or 4, about 3 tenths behind.
Yeah. Okay, and then we've got Boo Wiggle, 4 tenths off, and P3 in GT, P4. Carol Martin, Chris Barrett, and that's just about 7 tenths off. Jack Anderick in P5, Dan Ball in P6. That's just under roughly a second off. Then we've got Richard Zood. Okay, I'm not going to even try and butcher the name. And Eric Newman, P7, P8, P9. And that's around already 1.67 seconds off, which is quite far. And then just to finish off the grid, we've got Zach Vorster with, I think, 2 seconds off. And that's it.
Well, it looks like as the pace car gets away, the LMP2 field's going to lead them down. For the GTEs, probably give themselves a little bit of a gap. Hopefully somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple of seconds, probably 2, maybe 3 seconds of a gap, so that these guys don't end up concertinaing back into each other once we go green. So,
Green flag, green flag.
hopefully, fingers crossed, Spa doesn't become the notorious pile up as we come through the bus stop where some people get a little too eager. So,
So we've gone down to last source. It's been pretty clean for Alex, and I think we've got the green flag already, so not a GT start, I think. Alex got away quite well. I think we've had a crash actually. Let's see what happened to the GT grid. Seems like the front runners have gone away well, but I think someone has crashed. Let's see.
Yeah, it certainly looked like there was a lot of movement in the GTE field just looking at the timing board as they came into the bus stop chicane to start the first lap of the race. But yeah, I would agree. Looks like the LMP2 field relatively clean. Looks like everyone kind of got single filed as we got up to the Kemmel Straight into Lake Holmes. So not too bad on those individuals' part.
We've had a bit of a wobble from Alex Valhalla, and that actually allowed Jamie Lowens to get past. Quite a quick move from Jamie, very quick reactions, but Alex did manage to save the car, which was quite lucky for them. I believe it was leading down to Puhon.
Oh yeah, that wiggle coming out as he approached the X corner for that next one. Yeah, Jamie taking advantage of it as they get down in the Puhon. So good on Jamie for seeing that opening and just not even hesitating, being aggressive early on.
So we've seen a few people gain a few positions, but we've seen others lose a few, but I don't think there's been a crash. Well, actually, there's Adam Banfield in the pits, but other than that, there hasn't been any major crashes, I think.
It's unfortunate for Adam. I think he was looking on for a good race today. To get some points in this championship fight already, but that's just unfortunate. But it's still a long race. We still got about 43 minutes left, so he can get into the pits and out of the pits. Unless he's got some pretty substantial repairs. But he might be able to get back out there and maybe scrounge up a couple of points.
Oh, we've seen some contact. Eric Newman may have tapped the Porsche, but I think they were nearly 3 wide there going into the final bus stop chicane. Doesn't look like there's damage for any of the cars, but that Porsche definitely lost the position. That was William Hope that got tapped.
Oh, so one of the... Oh, wow, yeah. I'm just now seeing it. I'm a little bit delayed on my end on the broadcast there. Yeah, it looks like the Porsche just got a little bit of oversteer going into the bus stop. One of our Hope brothers. And one of the BMWs, Eric Newman, or am I saying that right? Maybe Dan Bull just got ahead of him there.
Yeah, I believe Dan actually capitalized on the situation, but I don't think either of the cars that were involved in the contact had damage. But it was very close going into the final bus stop, so I'm impressed that all of them got through in one piece.
Yeah, it's a big credit to the drivers out there. Extremely professional, but also being aggressive when they need to be. So, there might have been a little incidental contact there that might have netted him maybe a 0x, at worst maybe a 4x, but that might be a bit harsh. But it looks like both of them are able to continue fairly easily without any substantial loss in downforce.
So it looks like Jack Thompson has gained 5 positions off the start, and now he's looking to gain another one as he's putting pressure on Alex Valhalla for the last lap or so. Coming down to the bus stop, is he going to try and move? Let's see. He's a little far, so he's going to lift off. Maybe he can make a move down from La Source, the long run. Alex Valhalla has a bit of a lock-up, nearly hits Jamie Lawrence, and now Jack Thompson's all over the back of him. Let's see what happens into La Source.
Yeah, Jack's already kind of shooting for that first early on catch match dispatch of the race, and looks like he's already got 4 or 5 of them so far. So
Well-
early on driver of the day so far for him.
That was very close. Alex Valhalla seemed to have moved in the last second, may have blocked Jack a little bit, but now Jack's behind, going into Radillon, and now down Camel. Let's see, he should have the slipstream and should have the upper hand here, going side by side. Let's see if
Oh
he's
yeah,
ahead.
seeing it on my end. Yeah, it definitely looks like a little bit of a late move, a little bit on the limit, but you know, it might not have been over the edge, but I would say definitely on the limit there, reacting to the guy behind trying to go for a move on him.
Alex Valhalla does stay ahead after the Camel straight, breaks a bit later, but now we've got Daniel Thomas behind them, getting ready to get all over the action, maybe claim those two positions. Let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit delayed here on my broadcast end, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic battle here in LMP2 category between these guys from P5, P6, P7, and if Chris can catch back up down there in P8 from what I'm seeing, you know, we could have a four-way battle for a top 5 position here, all race.
They're very close, and now I think Jack Thompson couldn't make the move on Alex Valhalla, and now Daniel's making a move on Jack. Side by side, they go towards Blanchimont. Let's see which one will have the upper hand. Daniel's ahead. Jack had to lift up there, I think. He was just too slow coming through there. The slipstream and the good exit by Daniel was just meant he's got P6 now.
Yeah, it looks like he had a little bit of a moment there on exit coming into Sector 3. Got on the dirt a little bit and just allowed, who is that? Daniel, just to get the run on him as they come all the way through what is that? I think Blanchimont up to the bus stop. So yeah, it looks like he got that move completed just before Blanchimont. So, you know, Daniel's on the move. He's going to fight for that P5, maybe even more if he can catch up to Jamie there, not too far ahead.
And now on Camel he goes, he's got the slipstream, I think a little bit of a faster exit on Alex, and now Alex is defending the inside, so Daniel's going to have to go around the outside. We've seen Jack try and do this, but Daniel has to brake later. Has he done it? No, Alex broke later again, and he broke himself. He locked up, and I think he had to go off track to avoid him.
That's unfortunate. That's definitely going to net him not just an off-track penalty, but also a slowdown most likely. So he's going to lose heaps of time. So he's going to have to burn up his tires a little bit more than he probably wanted to try to regain that form to catch back up to that pack.
That was a decent fight, but I think Alex was fighting a bit too much there for his own good. Because he saw he locked up, he pushed himself to the limit, and now he's lost 2 positions less like that. It would have just been 1 if he let Daniel through.
That's true, you know, but you know, I got to applaud him for, you know, putting forth the effort to try and maintain that position, knowing that he may be the slower of the driver, but you know, track position is king here, and especially if he can maintain that going forward.
But what is surprising is obviously you have a 2.5 second gap between Alex, LMP2 leader, and Tom, but in GTE field, Reese is only roughly a second ahead of Buer, so it's actually looking like it's a closer GTE field now. It's lap 4 and only a second of a gap, so it's quite interesting. But we do have a few more fights lining up, both in LMP2 and GTE, so we're going to be watching those more than the leaders.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like Bo is keeping up with Reese. Reese is not pulling out the lead like he did at Road America, and Bo is doing a fantastic job. I mean, looks like last lap he was only 0.04 tenths behind Reese in terms of lap time, so he's not too far off, I think. So he's definitely putting his best foot forward. Really got that foot down trying to keep up with Reese.
And I believe Alex Valhalla has lost another position. He's now P8, but now he's fighting with Chris Scar for P7. He has just overtaken him down at the start of the Camel straight. He did get a really good run with the slipstream, but it does seem like Alex has been slowly losing positions, and everyone else in front of her has been gaining positions after his lockup mistake.
That's unfortunate. You know, he's going to be kicking himself. You know, what could have, should have been if he would have just braked at his normal point. But, you know, trying to maintain that position, you know, it's going to cost him in the long run. And, you know, you don't really feel the lockups or the flat spots in the iRacing service, but he would almost feel like he had a square tire. If that was an element that was more prominent within the service.
Yeah, I definitely think flat spots should have been a thing, but that'd be far more punishing than just lockups we have now. But we do have something close to flat spots, and that is tires being agitated after any sort of mistake. So the next few corners, you have to really take it easy, and you can lose like 2-3 positions if you're not careful because of that. So
yeah, surface temperature is definitely going to skyrocket there, and it's going to take, depending on how bad it was, it could take a couple corners for that tire to kind of cool off, cool down, and kind of get back in that working range. So, he may end up encountering a little bit of under or oversteer, depending on, where he's at on the track in terms of corner, and if he gets a little too aggressive on it. But a couple corners, maybe even a full lap, you should be able to get that thing back under control.
And now I'm constantly seeing the interval gap dropping between Eric Newman and Richard in the BMW, but I believe that's because the BMW has insane top speed on the Kemmel straight, because it does seem like the Corvette of Eric is a little bit faster, or at least fast enough to keep up with Richard through the rest of the Spa corners. But I'm gonna have that fight on my radar while we're watching the LMP2 fight between P9, P8, P7, after Alex lost his positions, but he's still under pressure from both Chris and Ruta.
Yeah, Richard in that M8, yeah, that thing is a bullet in a straight line, and I think if he can stay close to the Corvette through these tight, twisty sections, these high-speed corners, and really close up to him as he's at La Source, if he can be under half a second, maybe even probably under 0.3 of a second, I think he really has the opportunity to gain that position on Eric as they come up to Lake Home after Kemmel. But it looks like he's a little too far right now. So if he can just stay within that draft and catch up to him, he should be good.
Yeah, I mean, he does seem to be a second off now, so it does seem like the corners aren't his speciality, at least for the BMW, I'd say. But he is slowly closing in again. But we've just watched the fight for PA between Chris Scar and Ruta made that move look very easy. They were side by side after the exit of the Kemmel straight, but they did give each other space and got through it cleanly. So now Ruta's up to P8, which was his starting position, which is great for him.
Yeah, good on him there. Decisive move coming into bus stop. Definitely needed to get that done. He's probably trying to catch back up to Derek just ahead of him to regain some lost time. And kind of looking at the timing charts, it looks like we also lost Jack. Looks like he's in the pits. It looks like he might be one of our unfortunate retirements as well with Adam, and I think Adam's just going to call it. He's been in the pits for quite a while. He might have taken some significant damage, so unfortunate to lose Adam and Jack so far in this race, but we still got a long way to go, and we'll see what's going to come of it.
We can go back to the replays after the race. Obviously now we've got some action going on right now, so we can't just leave it. And speaking of action, we've actually got action between the two Hall brothers. We've seen them quite close together, both in practice at Road America and in the race. The two Porsches on the same team, with the same surname, and they're really fighting for it. 4 tenths between them, Edwards trying to get past William, I believe. 2 tenths gone through Paul Horn. I'm really wondering if they're gonna try and fight it out or just let one of the other by.
Edwards seems to be the faster of the brothers here, and the last couple of laps, in Sector 3, he has been giving them the hurry up sign and just flashing them, saying, "Hey, you need to get a move on, because Derek is closing up on us, and eventually, if we maintain this pace, he's going to catch us." So Derek's not too far behind. Looks maybe about 2 seconds just further back, but yeah, Edwards definitely seems to be getting a little impatient with his brother William there, just telling him, "All right, hey, I'll give you a little bump draft. You need to hurry up, pick up the pace, please."
I guess we can call bump draft the correct word, but of course we had no contact so far. But we do see Edward actually just trying to urge William to speed up, because he doesn't want to overtake him, at least lose time through Blanchemont or through the bus stop, but he wants to get past and be able to push on, maybe catch P18 in the BMW.
Certainly, yeah. I know, again, kind of similar to Thomas in the last race. For Edward, he could just, stay behind his brother, again, save some fuel, and maybe use that to his advantage later in the race to catch back up to Richard. In this kind of format, you really don't need to take tires if you haven't been abusing them. And in a 45-minute race, you shouldn't abuse your tires. So, They're not too far ahead, so this might end up working out in the long run for Edward. But he's gonna keep telling him, "Come on, brother, let's move. Go faster. Go faster."
Yeah, he's almost pushing him through these corners now. Like, after the exit of the Camel, he's just 1/10 apart. Well, obviously the slipstream does help out there. Now I think they're gonna go side by side. Now Edward backs off in the last moment. Thankfully, it could have been quite dangerous there if he did like a last minute dive. Well, not really a dive, but...
Edward thinking better of it, but it's almost like he's just got the toe strap out just to the back of that bumper of William, and he's just going to let him tow him around for a little bit. But Derek is catching. I mean, he is getting closer and closer. He's probably gained almost about a second already this lap alone. So if William doesn't pick up the pace, he's in danger of getting into a three-way fight with his brother and Derek just a little bit behind him.
Well, the fight's definitely coming from Derek. Derek has closed in a second over just one lap, I believe. But speaking of freeway fights, we've got a freeway fight for P8 currently. Wouter Nelson in P8, Chris Scar, and then David Goots trying to get on the action now. Wouter does seem to have a little bit of damage on the rear, and that's why Chris is putting all the pressure on him now. But David definitely wants to get out of that position. He's lost one position from the start, and he wasn't the fastest in qualifying. But I definitely think he's got the pace to challenge, looking at his last laps.
Yeah, Chris Scar, I think he probably had a little bit of a disappointing qualifying there. I think he felt that he could certainly qualify a little bit better, but his race pace has been good. And Wouter, he's been hanging on to the back of him through these laps. So again, the strategy may just be, if I know I got the pace on you, why not just save some fuel behind you? It looks like Wouter's also carrying a little bit of damage to his rear left side. Looks like it's bent just a little bit, so he might be losing a little bit of top end speed through some of these high speed corners, as well as down the Kemmel Straight.
And we have seen an overtake by Edward Hope on William, but I believe... Yeah, Edward's lost the position, now they're fighting, and Derek's joining on the action on the Kemmel Straight. It's quite close, but obviously we can't watch the replay now when Derek's right behind them. And they're not letting him through.
Zigzagging. Looks like, Derek's not able to take advantage of it, but, he's definitely got the pace in that Ferrari to get ahead of the Porsche.
Oh, David Goots out? At least that's what the timing tower says. Not sure what happened. Doesn't seem like anything happened in particular.
Yeah, I'm showing him in the pit, so hopefully maybe it's just a glitch, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. But he may have had a moment. He's showing on my screen as well, in the pits.
Okay.
Unless he had an unfortunate disconnect from a unacceptable packet loss, but hopefully that's not the case.
Well, that means Chris Scar is actually safe. He was under pressure from David, and now it's just gone. And now we actually see Alex lapping the Holt brothers. So that means LMP2 has a bigger challenge at their hands now. Rather than fighting just each other, they have to fight through the GTE field.
Yeah, that's got to be unfortunate for Derek, because he was on the back of William there, and he's just lost a heap of time trying to deal with this LMP2 traffic. So unfortunate, it looks like he caught it through probably the worst section of the track, through Sector 2, where it's tight and twisty. And, William's able to kind of break away a little bit. Maybe he'll be able to put that toe strap out to his brother and, get that pace back. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there from William.
Doesn't seem like there's too many fights anymore. Obviously, we do have the Holt brothers quite close to each other, but I do think Edward will be able to slowly pull away. And it does seem like David is completely out of this race. Unlucky for him, not sure what happened, and we'll have to see. And it does seem like Wouter Nelson's in the pits now. Yeah, he's driven in. I assume he's going for an early stop, maybe an undercut and an attempt to fix his damage.
Yeah, certainly. So I did hear some traffic from Wooten saying to Alex that he was, looks like he was seeing him kind of blink on his screen. So, maybe he just want to kind of get away from him for a little bit, try to get his own race going, maybe kind of gain some lap time back. But I don't know, that might be for time, might be for fuel, or it might just be to get away from a blinking car just for safety purposes.
So now traffic. There's massive traffic for P4 and P5. Jamie Lawrence and Daniel Thomas trying to get past the Holt brothers, and they've pulled them in a really bad spot. Daniel's trying to get past the traffic very quickly. Now Jack Thompson has caught up to both of them. Ooh, quite a close dive by Daniel. The Hot Brother doesn't seem to turn in too early and does let by Daniel, but now Jack's also capitalized on that slow overtake. So now it's a freeway fight, although it was just a second or 2 seconds maybe of a gap because of the traffic.
Yeah, but this has been terrible though for Derek. I mean, just look how much time he's been losing. He seems to have been coming out a little bit worse for wear, where these LMP2s have been catching him just right as they get into Sector 2, and he's just trying to be respectful, let him by, but he has just lost heaps of time. You know, he looks adrift maybe about 4 seconds now from the Hope brothers, and you know, I think he's kind of realized his opportunity may be lost now, and that's unfortunate for Derek because that Ferrari certainly looked like he had the pace on that Porsche.
So we are seeing 2 pit stops from Jack Anderek and Dan Bohr in GTE class. Maybe a bit early for the GTEs, but we'll be watching their pit stops. Maybe if they're a bit too long, we'll be worried. Oh, we do see Jack Thompson pit as well, so maybe they're paying for traffic. They don't want to go through the rest of the field while losing this much time.
Yeah, smart move on their part. Get out of the traffic, get your pit stop knocked out, get it full back of fuel, and then really just be able to get back on the track and kind of run your own pace. You know, for their hope, you know, maybe the leaders ahead of them can catch this traffic in a really bad spot and kind of help them close that gap. But, you know, I think it's a smart move. Get out of the traffic, get back in clean air, do your own race.
So we did see a normal pit stop from Dan Bohr, so it definitely looked like he was just trying to avoid the traffic. Maybe the cars ahead, trying to undercut them a little bit. So it doesn't seem like anyone has damage, thankfully, in this race. But we're 21 minutes in, and Alex Gull is only 2 seconds ahead of Tom, and Reese is just 3 seconds ahead of Boo in GTE class. So it's looking like a much closer race, and might even get closer towards the end as they lap the traffic again.
Yeah, you know, big shout out there to Bo. You know, a fantastic drive so far. You know, he's got to be pretty pleased with where he's at on the track, you know, and he's, you know, I think he's a lot closer to Reese than he probably expected in terms of race pace. You know, there was a huge gap there during qualifying, but his race pace seems to be fantastic. So, you know, pretty pleased. I think Bo has to be with himself so far.
I'll be very pleased with myself as well, considering how far Reese was ahead of anyone else in GTE. And now it's just... I mean, I know Reese said he was good at this track, but I never expected it, like everyone else, to be good at this track as well. Very impressive, and we do see Alex Gull losing a bit of time to Tom. So, but he is being slowed down by traffic, which is understandable. But Tom is just 1.3 seconds off now. Alex really has to get past this Corvette now, and any other GTEs.
Yeah, Alex is going to hugely benefit, though, because he's going to end up getting to these GTEs on the Kemmel Straight, and he's just going to gain that extra kilometers or miles per hour, depending on if you're on the metric or the Imperial system. So this actually is going to help him out in the long run, because he might catch this GTE traffic right at the top of Radion and just use that to slingshot him down the Kemmel Straight and gain a couple extra tenths on Thomas. And Thomas, unfortunately, looks like he's going to catch him right as he gets into Sector 2, which is just only going to help Alex that much more.
So we are seeing a lot of action in the pits now. Obviously, the last few pit stops have been quite distorted. Not everyone's playing on the same lap, but now we see 4 people pit, both of the Hot brothers, which is quite interesting. Obviously, they don't have shared pits. And Alex Valhalla and LMP2. So I do think someone's trying to plan, like each of these drivers has their own strategy, maybe get ahead of that one driver or gain a bit of time by avoiding that traffic. But I'm really interested to see where it takes all of these drivers, since they're pitting quite early compared to the competition.
Yeah, the Hope brothers, you know, that's an interesting one, considering, you know, I don't even remember now if it was William or Edward, really just flashing each other to tell the other one to get a move on. But it might end up turning into a benefit hugely, because the trail driver, again, might have been able to save that fuel. And I think they were trying to catch up to Alex a little bit earlier in the race. And, you know, that might end up being a treat for him here on the second stage of the race.
So now in provisional P7 and 8, we've got Chris Barrett and Derek, the 2 prancing horses in the race. And they don't seem to be getting quite close together. Derek is catching up, although he did lose a lot of time to the Hope brothers, so I really hope he's going to catch back up and maybe give us a bit more action. I do hope he can catch up to the Hope Brothers and give them a challenge. Obviously, I do believe he's a bit faster than them. Although we have to find out now after he pits. And Chris Bauer disappeared for a moment. That was quite scary.
Yeah, it just looks like a little bit of a packet loss there momentarily, which is not all that uncommon on the iRacing service. So, to our viewers out there, don't be afraid. It happens from time to time. It's just one of those unfortunate things you got to live with. Sometimes it's just on your end, and every now and then it's on the server end. But it can happen. It's only scary when it happens into a braking zone, or when they just magically appear next to you, or heaven forbid, inside of you. Then it can get really scary.
I'm sorry to jump off topic very quickly, but it looks like Jamie Lawrence has crashed. He's lost positions, and let's just hop back on the replay now. He blinked. I'm not really sure what happened here.
Trying to get a look at his car. It doesn't look like I'm seeing any visual damage.
Oh, he spun. He spun. No, it wasn't a crash, it was a spin. He spun on the exit of last source. We've seen that from Alex Go as well.
Yeah, a little bit too eager there on the throttle. Oh wow.
Oh, there's been a crash between Reese and Carol and Martin. I believe so. Let's hop on the replay for that. I'm really not sure what happened. Too much action at one moment. So we just see Reese, the tail end just stepped out. He does hold the brake to not come back on track randomly. I'm not sure what happened there. And then he comes back and then... Oh, Carl Martin just seems to be coming through the corner and makes contact with Reese. So that's the race leader. Losing positions and having damage for sure. And unlucky for Carl, and he just came by at the wrong time.
Well, you know, unfortunately for Reese, but that is Bo's gain, so Bo might be able to take his first win of this very early season.
Well, he's got 7 seconds to Kaolan, and Kaolan definitely has damage. So, yeah, and now we see the top 3 of LMP2, top 4 boxing in now. Alex leading them in, obviously. Let's see whose pit stops are going to be the quickest. We do see Bo pit as well in the GTE. And then Kaolan follows him into the pits. Definitely going to be some damage to fix there.
Yeah, but looks like you know, Reese still might have a grip on the lead here.
Yeah, he hasn't boxed, but he has to box a bit later. But we do see the 3 cars behind him boxing as well, so we'll see. It might be a bit of an undercut. Obviously, Reese wants to pull away as quickly as possible now, even if he has damage, just to get that gap. Does seem to cut Radion there. There might be a slowdown. We'll see.
It doesn't look like it. I don't see him lifting off the... Oh, no, yeah, now he's lifting. Yeah, he's lifting. He's gotten off the throttle pretty early on. Yeah, that's a killer. Again, that's Eau Rouge, or not, correction. That's Spa for you. You know, you take an inch, and you are going to lose heaps of time. Thankfully, you know, this is late in the race, so he's not going to, you know, lose too much to his competitors. But this might come back to benefit Bo when Reese pits.
And it does seem like Alex has lost time in the pits. I believe he was roughly 2 seconds ahead, and now he's 1 second ahead of Tom. I didn't actually look at the pit lane overlay, but it does seem like it's very close again in LMP2. We see Jack Thompson right behind Daniel Thomas because of a GT just slowing them down a little bit. So yet again, it's very close. We had a bit of calm times until Jamie spun, and we had a bit of action in GT, a bit of contact. But now it's close again.
I'm noticing a bit of a trend here from Road America. You know, we seem to get that really early action. We get a small little lull. Then the LMP2s decide that, you know, they want to ride in the left lane on the highway or the Autobahn, depending on where you're at, and they want to get by some of the slower traffic. Another little lull. And then we get back into the second half of the race where it just becomes a bit of a chaos, you know. You know, that's your time to really push hard and fight positions. And, you know, Tom is really putting the pressure on Alex now. He wants that race win. He can see it right there. And I think he's going to get aggressive, and he's going to go for it. And he's really going to try and take this P1 off Alex today.
Well, I do think Alex is a bit faster, but he's just not been lucky with the traffic. And we do see Reese pit now. Let's see where he emerges. He definitely lost time with the slowdown. And obviously the damage, probably. But I'm really interested. Will he come out P2? Well, P2 definitely. But P3, P4.
Absolutely. Yeah, Bo is definitely going to take the lead here because he's coming through the bus stop right now, and Reese is just now getting into his pit box here, probably. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but Kolan, and then, I don't know, Richard might be a bit of a stretch, but now Richard's going to the pits. Eric's a little too far, so I don't know. You know, Reese could end up dropping down maybe to P3, P4. I think is a bit of a stretch.
Well, surprise, surprise, he's P6. Behind Cole, and so the person he made contact with, he definitely lost a heap of time with the slowdown and the damage. That's insane.
That's got to be terrible for.
Wow.
That's got to be terrible for Reese. He's probably going to be a little frustrated inside of that cockpit at well, wherever it is that he's racing. You know, hopefully, you know, these guys can talk it out after the race and kind of figure out what exactly happened there. And if there is something, they just report to the stewards for them to take a look at.
I believe it was a racing incident. Obviously, Reese tried to get back on track, but he just didn't really get the car turned in. He was off the track and then decided he wanted to turn and just get back onto the race, get back off the racing line. But it didn't seem like he could do it on time, and Colin was just there, and not much he can do to avoid it at that point.
No, I haven't seen the replay yet myself, but you know, when you're the driver falling behind, sometimes it's just unfortunate. You know, you really don't have the reaction time to make the appropriate, or say make an appropriate move. And with this being a sim service, you know, if it's getting as close as possible to what real life drivers have, you know, they don't have a delta that shows exactly where people are at behind them or in front of them per se. They don't have a track map and all the other little widgets that you can have here on the service. So it's just one of those things that happens in the sim world as well as it happens in real life.
Now I have confirmation. David Goot, the one he disconnected, and confirmation that his internet died, which was quite unlucky for him. So at least it wasn't a crash.
Terrible.
It wasn't a crash, thankfully.
Well, that's terrible. We'll have to look forward to seeing him at the next round, but yeah, that's unfortunate. At least it's something that can be corrected for the next race for David.
Yeah. So now Alex is slowly pulling away from Tom again. Obviously, Alex did show stronger pace in qualifying, and throughout the race has been a little bit faster, at least until traffic came around. But it doesn't seem like Reese is catching up that much. He might have damage. Like, I don't know if he fixed the wall in the pits, how much optionals it was, or maybe even required. I don't think it was required though. And now he's down in P7 maybe even, no, P6. He's got a lot to fight for. That's roughly 10 seconds of time he has to catch up to P1, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it in the last 30 minutes of the race. So really unlucky for him.
No, not at all. And it looks like, you know, we might have a nice change of pace already this early in the season with the current provisional P1, 2, and 3 with Bo, Chris, and Jack. But, you know, they still got a ways to go. There's still time. And, you know, Dan Bull really, he's going to give Jack a run for his money. He's going to push that Corvette hard with that BMW. And he's going to tell him, if you want this P3, you're going to have to work for it today.
Well, I don't really want to say it with 12 minutes remaining, but I think the commentator's curse exists, because you did say Reese was your favorite, and Reese is not really getting lucky.
Well, hold on now. To be fair, I said, you know, he was my favorite at least for qualifying.
Okay.
I don't know if I picked him for the race, I'll have to send him a message after the race and say, I'm sorry, I cursed you early on. So, I don't know, maybe I just have to run down the list and just start picking people at random. Maybe just use a magic 8-ball or something and just pick some person. So everyone gets a fair share at it. No one gets, you know, everyone gets a taste of it for the entire season.
But it does seem like Chris is doing well, at least in GT. In LMP2, it doesn't seem like there's much of an underdog challenge, really. We do see Tom putting up the fight to Alex, but I don't think there'll be a lead change. At least Alex will be able to fight back. So, at least that LMP2 is safe from the commentator's curse for now.
For now, yeah. Alex has pulled back out a bit of a gap there, you know. Thomas, it looked like it closed it down to definitely under a second. But Alex, confident in his pace, looks like he's started to stretch that gap out just a little bit, ever so slightly, just trying to get him out of his draft. And if he can really manage to do that, I think Tom, unfortunately, might start to fall back a little bit, unless miraculously these guys catch traffic again, which, I know Alex is going to probably be praying not to.
So we're on board with Dan again, and he's in the BMW, so he's catching a lot. He was catching on the run up to Radion. He had to lift a bit, and now he had to lift a bit more than he liked. So he had a really slow exit of Radion and couldn't make the overtake there. He's going to have to wait another lap. Obviously, he does have that one extra lap, but I really wish he made that move there. It would have been very interesting. Maybe not through Radion, that's where he lifted, but through the Camel, it would have been a really good move. But now we do see Reese closing in on Kaolan. It was 1.7 seconds a few laps ago, now it's 8/10.
For Dan here, the longer he stays behind Jack, Jack's going to realize where he's strong in his own car in the Corvette versus where is Dan strong. And I think Jack probably understands, on these fast, high-speed, medium-speed corners, he's really got the jump on that BMW. But kind of the slow speed, they seem kind of equal. But definitely on the straightaways, Jack's probably keenly aware, all right, this BMW is going to catch up to me because he's just got a little bit more grunt with the V8 in his compared to the V8 in that Corvette. So, Jack's going to be measured, understand where he needs to get really good exits to maintain enough speed to stay ahead of that BMW.
And we do see, just I think 2 seconds behind, we do see Reese closing in on Kaolan now, both Corvettes, so they've got the same engine, not necessarily the same setup, but is Reese going to try and make a move? This is the person he made contact with, but he's a little too far, he's just going to lift into the final bus stop chicane. But he's going to go for a move very soon, I think.
I certainly foresee Reese deciding to just kind of stamp his authority on Kaolan and just say, I'm the faster driver here, and he might just get very aggressive with him. Or he may just kind of, hold back and just be like, you know what, it's a race, it happens. This may be the best I can do with the damage that I've got. So, I don't know, maybe taking a page out of Alain Prost, the professor's book of, this is as best as I can do with the car that I have available to me.
So, we've got a double fight, just a few seconds apart, but we don't see Dan Bull being able to make a move, and I don't think Reese will be able to either. They just didn't get the perfect runs.
Yeah, Jack certainly seems to be putting a lot of emphasis coming out of La Source there, really trying to get a good exit so he can maintain good speed through Eau Rouge and Radion and up through the Kemmel Straight. And unfortunately, Dan's just not able to do anything about it, really use the strength of that BMW to his advantage to close that gap on him. So, well on Jack, for understanding, where he needs to really put the focus on the track and to keep ahead in that provisional P3. Or correction. Oh, yeah, P3, my mistake.
Shame on me, actually. I didn't realize that Jack and Kaolan are teammates, I believe. Or at least they seem to have a similar livery. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kaolan's actually doing some team orders or team tactics, trying to hold back Reese while Jack tries to pull away from Dan, but it doesn't seem like it's really happening with the pull away.
Kaolan might be able to get away with that for a little while, but Reese definitely has the pace, even with it looks like maybe carrying a bit of damage, to really push Kaolan up there. So he might be able to keep him at bay for a while, but that may not last for the rest of this race, even though it looks like we're down to maybe the final 2, maybe 3 laps, depending on how fast Alex can get around Spa here.
And we do see a bit of a fight with LMP2. Jamie gets past Chris Scar now. Good job by Jamie. He did lose positions at the start of the race, but now he's slowly gaining the back. He may be able to catch Wuta before the end of the race. Let's see how good his pace is, but that was a really nice move. He got a really good run down towards Radion, and then up Kemmel was perfect. Didn't even have to really fire him.
Yeah, good on Jamie there to regain those positions. I think he's another one today. He's probably a little disappointed that he had that spin, probably frustrated himself knowing what could have been, because he was certainly running in the top 5 for the duration of the race until that spin. So, he'll be thinking what could have been as well, along with Reese today.
Well, speaking of Reese, he's making a move on Kaolan now. He got a really good run down on Kemmel. Kaolan's defending the inside. Let's see in the cameras. Calon does break a bit later, and Reese has to avoid, and he does come across a little bit there. Reese has to lift and just avoid, and not much space he can do.
Yeah, it looks like Reese was trying to get a cut back there, but it didn't quite work because Kalan put that Corvette right in the best possible spot. I mean, he just made that thing as wide as possible and basically told Reese, is like, you're going to really work for this if you want to get past me. But, you know, it looks like Kalan went a little wide there. He's definitely going to get an incident. I don't think it's wide enough to get him a slowdown penalty, but definitely going to get an incident penalty point there.
Doesn't seem like. Oh, actually, no. Dan Bull did get past Jack Anderick. I think Jack Anderick went off track at some point. So that's him done. I was about to say Dan wasn't really making any progress, but now he's ahead. Jack's not too far behind, but that should be okay. And we did see a bit of a fight going for P3 right now in LMP2 class. Harry and Jack Thompson having a little bit of fight. I think it was over Camel. Harry's still ahead though.
Yeah, it looks like we got a couple of good fights, mainly for these podium positions up and down the track between LMP and GTE. So, you know, Dan might be able to start pulling away, and that BMW start to use the advantage of that extra grunt down the straightaway. And Jack, I don't know if he's going to have anything for him here in the final 90 seconds of the race to challenge Dan to get that P3 back.
Well, I don't think it's 90 seconds, but we're not that far away from the finish unless I'm lost in replay.
No, I think my timer's just a little bit behind yours there. I'm just kind of going off of what I'm seeing in the countdown clock. So I had about 90 seconds left, and you know, that might be the time that's left, but Alex is moving at a good enough pace where he should be coming up to start the final lap here.
Let's see.
With about maybe about 30 seconds left on the timing.
Well,
the timing chart.
My time was telling me we've got 3 minutes and a half when he's crossing the line, so I guess it's 3 more laps, 2 more laps, sorry. 2 more laps.
So, I mean, yeah, Jack still has an opportunity here if he can catch back up to Dan, but I don't know, Dan's looking pretty strong in that BMW, and I don't know if Reese has got anything left for Kalan there, so we'll see. He may give it one last gasp behind him, but yeah.
No, speaking of Jack, we've got the LMP2 Jack driver, and he's actually trying to make an overtake on Harry in the last 2 laps of the race, and he might actually be able to do it. He's been quite close last lap, tried to make a move down on Kemmel, now he's going to get the slipstream. Harry's going to be defending down the inside. Let's see if Jack can actually make the move. And there was some traffic. That was one of the Holt brothers, but they do get away. Wow.
And a fantastic move there by Jack Thompson around the outside going into Lake Home. Well done to him there. Now he's just got to hold off a very rapid Harry Brooks right behind him, who's going to be fighting to get that P3 back.
That was a great move. Although that was very close with the Porsche of, I think it was one of the Holt brothers. I'm not sure which one. It was William Hope. Good job on actually avoiding contact by both of the LP2 drivers and the GTE driver. That was very scary.
I tell you what, that was almost shades of Schumacher versus... Ooh, excuse me. Shades of Schumacher versus Hakkinen back in, I think that was 1998 at Spa. They were coming up the Kemmel Straight, and I think they split Ricardo Zonter. I don't know if I have that as the right guy, but that guy was dead in the middle of the track, and Hakkinen just threw it up the inside on Schumacher. It was a brilliant move, and for Jack there, I'm going to say I might nominate that one as the catch, match, dispatch moment of the race there, courtesy of Dave Cameron with that catchphrase, by the way, for all those out there who haven't checked Dave Cameron out. Go check him out, as well as PPR, for all your F1, ACC, and iRacing needs.
I'm going to have to confirm this, but I think Reese is out of the race. Yeah, he is. Reese is out of the race, and Carolan actually made I believe both of them had contact. I think we're going to go through the replay in a moment, but we do have Jamie Lawrence also fighting Alex Valhalla, so we're going to have to hop in the replay.
Carolan has no lights on his car, so he's kind of got his hands out, just kind of figuring out where on earth do I need to go, but I'm showing him on his car. He has got absolutely no lights.
Oh, that's so unlucky. Reese gave him a little tap going into the final bus-stop chicane, and Carolan's car just went straight left into the wall. I'm not sure where Reese disappeared. He didn't seem to like have much contact, but yeah, that's no lights on Colin's car.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I mean, still well done here on Cullen. He is still seemingly somehow to get around the track with no lights. So I don't know if he's got a little night vision going on there with a little added modification to his car, but he's going to try and hold on to this. I don't think Eric's going to catch him, will he? You know what? Eric might catch him. They're going to catch up. An LMP2 car is going to come up on Colon really quickly. That's going to get pretty scary as he comes through Blanchemont and up to the bus stop. But Eric might steal one more position away.
When I came back from the replay, I actually just saw a fantastic move by Jamie on Ruta. Now that's P6 for Jamie. He did it perfectly. That was a really good move. Ruta tried to defend on the inside as everyone does on the Camel, but Jamie had it all done. He put the car in the perfect position and got through it. Had a little bit of a wobble, but he kept it together.
Oh boy, Alex is going to come right up behind Colon here, and I think he's going to find out really quick that he doesn't have any front lights if he gets past him, but it should be good through bus stop.
Yeah, Colin just lets them by, thankfully. It's very dark. That Corvette looks destroyed though. No bonnet, no anything.
No, he is,
Oh, that's
if this were real life, that pit crew would be in for a all-night repair job there if there was a follow-on race to this. But thank God it's just using the iRacing sim service, so all it takes is just a quick reset to the pits.
Well, that's actually the race over now. As soon as Alex crossed the line, that's it. So Alex wins the race, followed by Tom and Jack Thompson lining up the podium for LMP2. And Boo Rigo, congratulations. That's a new winner for the league in GTE, followed by Chris Barrett and Dan Bull. Congratulations to the podium sitters. We had a bit more action.
Yeah, we had action all up and down the grid. That was fantastic to see fights, not just down in the lower positions, but even for the podium positions. That was fantastic. You know, Spa always gives us a great race, so it's good to see that continued here today in round 2.
And we do see some donuts by Alex Valhalla and P9, and I think I've seen a Corvette there and a Ferrari. So they're really happy with the results today.
Yeah, a little celebration of finishing the race. You know, Bo's got to be happy with that. He's still going, though. He's still on the track, still trying to fight off that last little bit from Chris Barrett, though, because those guys, along with Dan and Jack, haven't yet quite finished the race yet. So, you know, if Bo can hold on to this, he's going to get his first win of this very young season so far at the fantastic Spa-Francorchamps.
And that's it. That's a win for him, followed by Chris Barrett. Just under a second, although I think Boo was quite happy with just even slowing down for the final corner. He deserved that win there. Fantastic race by him. Unlucky for Reese, who I think that might be either a tie or maybe very close in the championship lead now. Especially there might be actually a penalty coming. The contact was 2 pieces of contact with Cole and Reese, so we'll have to see after the race.
Yeah, certainly. I would imagine one or both of them will probably report that incident to the stewards to have them take a look at. So, you know, we'll see what the stewards say about it, and then we'll go from there. But from what I'm seeing on my screen, yeah, provisionally it looks like you got Alex, Tom, and Jack in the LMP2 category, followed by Bo, Chris, and Dan taking the top honors in GTE. And again, I believe I'm a little bit behind on my timing screen, so if you have the graphics up, I do apologize if I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay, so I've got the results already ready, so yeah, I'll run them down. Obviously you're a bit delayed, but what can we do about that? So, we see Alex Go taking a second win. Wonderful drive on Road America, a bit closer now at Spa, followed by Tom and Jack running off the LMP2 podium. Sadly, we don't have the team names. Then Harry Brooks and Daniel Thomas both putting up a very good fight in the race. Then Jamie Lawrence, a fantastic race by him, a comeback I'd say, because he was starting quite far back, and then fought through those final cars throughout the last part of the race. Then Ruth and Ellison, Chris Scar both drove fantastic races, tried to put up a fight. Alex Valhalla, he was quite a bit further up, I think he was roughly P5, but then that lockup and it was just unlucky for him, and he just went downhill from there. But he still drove a clean race, which is what we want from this league and what we expect, and we've seen it from most drivers here. A little bit of contact is justified, but obviously I've been more than happy with what I've seen here. Then for GTE, we've got Boo Riggo, fantastic win. Then Chris Barrett and Dan Bull rounding up the podium. Jack Anderwick, Carol and Martin. Carol was quite unlucky with the contact twice with Reese. Could have been a bit of a better race for him. Then Eric Newman and then Richard both put up quite a good race. Edward Hope showed us some great action with his brother and teammate William. So that was a great race by him. Derek McManus tried to get up on the fight, but I believe he was slowed down by the LMP2 traffic, as I heard from you, Brian. And now going down the rest of the grid, we've got William Hope rounding off the finishers, I believe. Reese is nowhere to be seen, and I believe David Goot after his unlucky disconnect, Alex Rivera, Zach Vorster, Adam Banfield, and Jack Hedgecoats, who didn't finish the race for reasons that we may or may not know. So that's the positions.
I gotta say, that was a fantastic race there to see battles all the way throughout from start to finish. You know, a couple of folks just unlucky, but you know, that's racing, it happens. But it's fantastic to see, you know, it's really shaping up so far, even though it's early in the season. That GTE category is going to be ultra competitive, and we might see a variety of different people, not just on the podium, but standing in the P1 position, hoisting that trophy per se.
And that's it for the race. A very exciting one at that. Road America wasn't as exciting as this, I have to say. Both are fantastic races, but Night Spa is something to watch every time. Thank you for being with me, Brian, and helping me commentate this race, and I hope to see everyone in the next one. Thank you.
Matthias, as always, it's been a pleasure. And as we close out here, again, thank you to our sponsors out there, to Dahlman Caravanning, as well as DaveCam for partnering with PPR to host this iRacing League. And again, if you are interested, come check us out at ppresports.com. We'd love to have you in F1, ACC, iRacing, and we're always looking to expand as we grow the community. We'd love to have everyone and anyone, so come check us out. Matthias, again, it's a pleasure, and I am off to Race Direct over in ACC for our championship over there.
Good luck with that. Goodbye.